What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Leo's Nerd Talk, and today we're going to be going over The Housemaid. So let's get into that. Hi, my name is Leo, and as I talk about anything movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. And like I said, today we are talking about The Housemaid. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Now, I was actually very excited for The Housemaid because it seemed like a very fun, tense thriller slash maybe romance that I didn't really know exactly what it was trying to go for. I didn't know what I was kind of getting myself into. So that was really nice to go into this movie kind of feeling a little fresh and really not knowing what to expect, because the twists and turns tend to work a little bit better when you go into a movie like that. But before I go into my pros and cons about The Housemaid, let me know what you guys thought about the movie in the comment section down below. Did you guys go see the movie? I know we have a couple actresses in here, or a actress in here, that could be kind of controversial nowadays, but this was still a very much fun movie. So let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. Also, while you're there, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll very much appreciate it. And with that being said, let's go ahead and straight into my pros. And starting with my pros, I just really enjoy the intensity of this movie, where you're kind of always on edge, always wondering what's going to happen next. You know, you have Sydney Sweeney's character that has really played out to be the one that's the bad person, and maybe she's trying to sneak around people's houses and steal things to get money for herself. That's kind of how they kind of play it out in the beginning of the movie. But then they go over to Amanda's character and they play her out to be someone that is a very aggressive person, seems to go a little crazy every once in a while, has emotional breakdowns, and is having screaming matches with everybody, and seems to kind of forget things, or is very manipulative. And you start to think maybe Amanda's character, Nina, is the bad person here, and she's the one that's, you know, causing all these issues and going crazy and making this whole kind of dynamic very tense and interesting. And then you get the husband involved as well, who is extremely charming. He has all the money, he has the nice house, the nice cars, everybody seems to love him. But then you start to think to yourself, okay, what's going on with this guy? He seems to be a little too nice, a little too charming. Is this too good to be true? Is he the one that is kind of the head honcho over everybody, kind of puppeteering anybody? So you have this really interesting, fun, tense dynamic between all three of these characters, where you throw a little bit of romance in there, you throw a little bit of tension in there, some arguments back and forth, some really manipulative kind of movements and pranks against each other, if you want to call them pranks. But it just makes for a very tense movie, something that you are always at the edge of your seat, always waiting for someone to get caught doing something, or someone finding out a secret of another character and seeing how that's going to unravel, how it's going to be revealed, and what are going to be the consequences of those actions throughout the movie. I also very much enjoyed all the twists and turns. Like I said, you have certain characters that are played out to be a certain way, and then you kind of see the reasonings behind those kind of characteristics, or why they're acting like that, or why they're treating another person the way they're treating them. And getting that peeled back slowly throughout the movie is very fun, very interesting. Certain things that you can kind of see coming, you know, as the movie kind of goes on. But as the movie starts, you're not going to predict that specific twist at the end of it, or maybe you are, who knows. But at least for me, I needed a couple of things to kind of happen first before I can be like, oh, maybe this is what's happening. And for the most part, I got it kind of correct. But it's still very fun to see all the twists and turns kind of happen here and there, because they're very fun, they're very tense, and they're very unexpected. You know, you have all these different characters that seemingly are leading to a specific direction, or seemingly going a specific way, and once again, from one scene to the next, it just turns it right on your head. Once again, it just makes it for a very unpredictable, tense movie. And that's what's very enjoyable about this film, is just how unpredictable and tense it is, that makes it a very interesting watch, while being very kind of heavy on the subject matter. And while we're already on the topic, that is another positive of this movie, because I think that does help this movie as well when it comes to the message that it's trying to throw out there, the implications of this movie, of being kind of showing that, you know, it's difficult to speak out on situations like this, but it's something that you definitely have to do, because otherwise you get stuck in this specific situation and you don't know how to get out. You start to resort to the extreme to try to get out of situations like this. And I know it's difficult for everybody, you know, whether you have an abusive partner, either way, you know, whichever direction the abuse is coming from, it's hard to kind of speak out to someone because most of the time people won't believe you, or they think you're the crazy one and they start to blame it on you. And maybe you're the reason why things are happening to you, you know? So it's a very, very heavy subject matter. And this brings it into the limelight, not extremely where it's kind of trying to throw this message down your throat, but it is something that's lingering throughout the whole movie, of course, because that is the main central plot of this movie, of kind of being an abusive partner towards another, being someone that's very manipulative, being someone that doesn't believe another person, tries to make the other person feel like they're crazy. And again, that's something that this movie does very well, where it's kind of speaks that message, but it doesn't throw it in your face. And it kind of gives people a little bit of confidence, maybe leaving out of this movie, that, maybe it is time to speak up and try to find help. And that is the number one thing when it comes to situations like this, is trying to find help and trying to get out of the situation without any harm towards you or towards anybody, and just try to find the proper path out. This movie obviously goes to the extreme, and it kind of leads specific characters to do certain things to kind of make it their job by the end of it. So this obviously goes to the extreme, which makes it a little bit more fun and a little bit more digestible when it comes to the subject matter. But overall, that is kind of a very central through line that is kind of seeped throughout the entire movie. And lastly, I think I did enjoy, for the most part, everybody's performances. There were certain things here and there that we can talk about in the cons, but overall, I think everybody did a fantastic job playing the role that they were supposed to be playing. Where you have Amanda's character being like the crazy person. I think she played crazy very, very well. Of course, you have, the husband being super charming, but also kind of terrifying at the same time. He plays that very well. Sydney Sweeney's character, who's kind of just someone who is going with the flow in her life, she plays that character very well. So overall, I think performances was very, very tight knit. This is a very small cast. There's a lot of side characters that kind of come here and there, but for the most part, this really is a 3-cast movie, and I think they all play their characters very, very well. So I was very happy with the performances. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my cons. And there's a few things. Speaking of performances, there were certain sequences that felt a little off-putting, a little weird, where certain characters will say a line and you have characters make facial expressions or kind of stay quiet and kind of awkwardly stare into the air, where I don't know if that was the intention to make them kind of seem that way, but overall it did feel a little awkward in the moment, and it kind of made you kind of pause in the movie theater and kind of look around like, was that supposed to happen? I'm not sure. So there were moments like that where it did feel a little weird. You also do have plot points that I feel like move, overtly pretty fast, where literally from one scene to the next, you are thinking a certain thing and then you instantly start thinking another thing because of just literally one moment that happens in a scene. And I feel like if it had a little bit more of a build up on certain sequences like that, it would have been more satisfying instead of being kind of just over and be like, oh, whoa, okay, so we're doing this now. Okay. So there's things like that where throughout the movie, it felt like it moved a little fast. And for a 2-hour movie, the movie did feel like it went through pretty good, a good pacing. But for a 2-hour movie, it felt like certain sequences were rushed. And on top of that as well, certain characteristics or certain characters that I felt like needed a little bit more background story or a little bit more explanation did also kind of get brushed over and rushed, and you don't really get to know more about them. There's a lot of side characters that seem very interesting, and I want to know more about them, what their full plot was, what their involvement was, what happened after the fact of all this stuff, and we really don't get much of that. It's very, very kind of one note for these characters, and you get the very surface level of what they're doing in the movie. And I wish we got a little bit more backstory, a little bit more plot to them to kind of fatten up the whole situation of what is going on in this movie. But overall, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I thought it was very, very interesting, very tense, a good little thriller. This might not have the best reviews out there, but at the end of the day, I still had a good time with it. I think it's a very fun watch. I think I highly recommend it. Very, very interesting, and it leads things to a certain path where you could make sequels if you really, really wanted to, but I think this is a nice little one and done. But I like where they led certain characters to show where they're heading to next, and I thought that was very fun as well. But overall, I don't have too many complaints about it. I left the movie very, very much enjoying myself with this film, and yeah, but that is gonna be it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about The Housemaid in the comment section down below. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and remember, if you guys have time with a movie, TV show, video game related, or just anything nerdy, you are in the right place. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.